These are like his baby pictures. Like this is Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
You can see him. He's right there. I think it was like 3 months.
3 months?
Right here.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
This is when he was in his crib.
One thing I was thinking about is what do you want to accomplish with this documentary about your son, about you, and about, you know, the strides you're making today?
I want to get the message out to these young people, these murderers, you know, the pain, you know, that they're causing the people that are left behind. You know, my son was all I had. You know what I mean? That was my biggest accomplishment in life. He was mine, and I loved him. Now he's gone. I graduated from Vision Quest, and they had a graduation, and they were doing like they did a nice little skit, and these are the other kids that graduated as well.
Okay.
Now this is his cousin. He was this is CJ.
That's CJ?
CJ, he was like his brother. You notice he was there for the graduation. And this picture is him with his two little cousins, my uncles, two boys.
Yeah.
It's basically just trying to pick up the pieces and go on, you know, with the emptiness of not having my son. You know, it's hard every day waking up knowing that I will never see my son again on this earth. You know, that's painful, you know, and then the memory of how he was taken from me haunts me sometimes.
So I mean, like, what initially happened? Like, what happened? Like, like, how did it all happen? I mean, what conspired for this tragedy to happen? What happened?
His friends murdered him. You know, and I believe it was planned, you know, because they killed him on a Wednesday, but Monday, when I got home from work, his friends were there, you know, and the one young man hadn't been around in a long time, and the other young man, I never saw him in my house before. So that, you know what I mean, that made me wonder, why was he here? He's never been in my house before. So the second day, when I came home from work, they were there again, and they would always leave right when I got home at 5:30. And so, and that Monday, Erskine Smith, which is who murdered him initially, he was acting really weird. You know, I saw him from my bedroom just pacing back and forth. And then he got the other young man and they left. So they came back Tuesday again. So that Tuesday, I said to my son, I said, what's going on? And he was like, Mom, what you mean? I said, they've been up under you 2 days in a row. Something's up. What's going on? So that you know what I mean, that made me wonder, why was he here? He's never been in my house before. So the second day, when I came home from work, they were there again, and they would always leave right when I got home at 5:30. And so, and that Monday, Erskine Smith, which is who murdered him initially, he was acting really weird. You know, I saw him from my bedroom just pacing back and forth. And then he got the other young man and they left. So they came back Tuesday again. So that Tuesday, I said to my son, I said, what's going on? And he was like, Mom, what you mean? I said, they've been up under you 2 days in a row. Something's up. What's going on? And I initially thought that they were going to try to get my son into some trouble. Because, you know, my son, you know, he was in trouble, you know, did little misdemeanor stuff. And I was sick of going down juvenile court. I was tired of all that. And so I was going to nip that in the bud. Go do something stupid if you want to. So that Wednesday, I left work at 4 o'clock. And my son knows I'm home at 5:30. You know, he's so paranoid. I got to be home at 5:30. So at 5:30 he called me. The 4:15 bus didn't show up. The 4:30 bus didn't show up. The 5 o'clock bus didn't show up. The 5:15 bus didn't show up. Hour or so later, I'm stuck in town. So he called me at 5:30 and he said, you know, Mom, where you at? And I said, I'm stuck in town, you know, I'm waiting on the bus. And he said, okay, I'll call you back. I love you. I said, I love you too. So about 10 to 6, he called me back, wanting to know where I was at. And I said, the bus had just came. I said, well, I'm just getting on the bus. And I said, I should be there in like 45 minutes with 61A. And I said, and that's when I asked him who was in the house. And same 2 young men still in the, and I told him, I said, Johnny, why are they there? You know, what do they want? You know, oh, Mom, we just sitting here playing a video game. I said, no, something was, I felt it in my spirit, something was wrong, you know. So I said, okay, I'll see you when I got home. So when I got home, which is about, I think it was like 10 to 7. I'll never forget, it was like thundering and lightning outside, so I didn't like thunder and lightning, so I got off the bus. I ran across the street. My house was like right across the street from the bus stop. And when I went to open the door, I had a chain on the door. The chain was on the door. I couldn't get in my house. I'm thinking like, what the heck, you know, and I could see the lights on in the house, you know. So I'm ringing the doorbell, you know, and everything. And so I'm mad, you know, because I've been stuck in town like almost 2 hours and I can't get in my house. Are you serious? You know, so I went to slam the door, and when I slammed the door, my blind flew out the window. And I'm like, so that's when I noticed somebody laying on my floor. And I'm like, why is Danny laying on this floor? He hear me ringing this doorbell, you know? So I'm standing there, and then I'm thinking like, wait a minute, this kid's not moving, you know? So I bent down and I looked through the blinds, and I saw blood on the rug. And I'm like, wait. And I stood up. You know how you're perplexed. I'm like, okay, I know I just seen what I seen. You know what I mean? So I was like, just blood on the rug. You know, and I'm thinking, I know my son ain't killed nobody up in my house and let me come home to this. I know he did not. And then when I realized it was Danny, I said, no, he wouldn't have hurt Danny. So that's when I kicked the door in. Kicked the door in, and I came in, and Danny was laying on the rug, you know, like I said, he had a bullet in his head, you know, and he was on his side, his eyes were closed, his hand was up like this, his one leg was up like that. And so I looked to see if he was breathing. I knew he was dead. You know, but I still stood there and I looked at him.
He was a parent. You still wanted to
you know, so so I'm still hollering for my son, you know. So I walked past Danny, and I was on my way back to my son's room. And it was dark back there. And for some reason, I just stopped at the kitchen, and I said, wait a minute, you know. They still might be in here, you know, let me leave. So that's when I left the house, and I called 911. And the police came, and he went in the house, and he came out, and he said, man, there's another body in there, and you don't want to see it. So I said, you know, is it my son? You know what I mean? And he didn't answer me, so I went to go in the house, and he just like blocked my door, so I couldn't get in the house. And that's when I said, well, what do you mean? I said, there were like 4 kids in this house just an hour ago. What do you mean there's just like 2 bodies? I said, did you search the whole house? And they said, yeah. So I said, okay, you know, and that's when, you know, all of a sudden the detectives came, the newscast was there, and, you know, they're asking me questions and different things like that. You know, he told me, the one detective told me, he was like, you know what, the news people might want to come over here and talk to you. I told him, you keep them right across the street. I'm gonna talk to you. I done just came in here, witnessed a murder scene, lost my only child. How can I get on the news and talk to you? Are you like serious right now? You know, so they questioned the one young man, and he said he had been at the house, but he had left around 10:30 or something like that. And that's when I told him he was lying, because when I talked to my son at 6 o'clock, he was still at the house.
Okay.
So I guess they went back and they talked to him, and that's when he said the other young man did it, which I didn't believe him, at all, because, Danny was like in the living room, and my son was in his bedroom, which is like way back in the house.
Right.
This young man did not run around my house killing 2 people by himself.
Right.
He shot my son 4 times in the back of the head. He stabbed him in his throat, cut his face. And Danny was shot twice in the head. And apparently I'm thinking Danny was trying to get out because he was closer to the door. So somebody had to stop him from getting out of that house. And if this young man was back there killing my son,
Right.
which they said he got shot first, who stopped Danny from getting out the house? Somebody had to be there. And I loved him. Now he's gone. You know what I mean? But I'm here, and I have to suffer every day of waking up not seeing my son again. I want to, and then I want to help people. I want to, me and my girlfriend, we're talking about doing a support group of our own. My pastor at church wants me to run a grieving program, because he feels that there's a need, because it happens every day. I watch the news and I see a mother's pain when somebody has killed their son. I know that pain. I have been there. You know what I mean? And the beginning is the worst. You need support. Because after a while, your family or whatever, they don't want to hear it anymore. They want you to just get over it. You can't get over it. I can't forget that night.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've tried. You know what I mean? And just like when I knew we were doing this, it brought up a lot of feelings and stuff that I hadn't thought about in a while. So it brought up that pain again.
Right.
But it's something that needs to be done.
Right.
And I've always wanted to start something in honor of my son.
Right.
If I had the money or whatever, I would do that. Right. Not only my son, Danny, for all the kids.
All the kids who have been the victims of violence.
Right.
The mothers who have lost their sons or their daughters or their children through violence.
Exactly.
Not natural causes, but through just plain violence.
Yeah.
Natural death is one thing, but when your child is taken away from you through violence, unnecessary violence, that's when it becomes a problem.
Exactly. And at 19, he didn't get a chance to live his life.
Right.
19 years old, I had to put my baby up in the ground. Right. At 19.
And who knows what he could have been.
Exactly. That's not fair. You know what I mean? And I have to live with that every day. I'm doing okay. I have more good days than bad days. At the beginning, all the days were bad. I cried every day for years and years. I was angry. I didn't take it out on anybody else, unless you said something crazy to me, then you got my wrath. You know what I mean? But that's hard, and women, and even fathers, or even like the brothers and sisters and cousins or whatever. Like my son and his cousin were very close. And that young man was devastated when my son was murdered. He came down my house the next day, and he was just crying, and I felt bad for him. My son's girlfriend was 15 years old. You know what I mean? So I had to pull it together and help this child get through of losing her first boyfriend, and her best friend. So there's a lot of things I had to get myself together so I could help other people, even though I was in pain. So I want to help people. I do, because you need that support. You need somebody to talk to when nobody else will listen, and you need somebody who knows your pain.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't want someone who can sit back and say, I think I understand what you're coming from, but you want to deal with people who know where you're coming
Exactly.
from. Right.
Exactly. Because if you ain't walked in my shoes, you have no idea how I feel.
Exactly.
You can't give me advice.
Exactly.
You can empathize with me, but you have no idea of the deep pain that I feel. So don't try to give me advice on something that you have not a clue about. You know, and that's when I get angry. You know, when people do that. You know, so definitely I want to help people.
Yes, and hopefully this documentary can bring that light to people and bring that light to families, bring that light to people who don't understand.
Right.
And hopefully they can probably come and support and be involved in this movement that you're talking about in this documentary and what you're trying to do with this documentary.
Right. And why you gotta murder people?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, what happened to fighting?
Yeah.
You know, you got a black eye, okay, about a week or so later, it's gone, but you're still alive.
Exactly.
I mean, why you got to pull out a gun and shoot somebody? I don't understand that.
Senseless murders.
Exactly. And because once you do that, you're giving up your life, because when they catch you, you're done.
Exactly.
Like the young man that killed my son, he was 18 years old. He's done.
Right.
He got double life without parole, 1st-degree murder. Now you done just gave up your life.
Right.
So I know every day when you wake up, you're thinking about what you did because you're in jail.
Right.
So you have no choice but to think about it, because if you wouldn't have done that stupid stuff, you wouldn't be in jail.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure he might not have regretted it then. Maybe he did. I don't know. But I bet he regrets it now.
Right.
You know, because you're going in 9 years because they caught you the next day. But, you know, because I knew who was in the house.
Right.
And I sent them right to you.
Right.
You know, but I have to say I was shocked. Even though I knew he was in the house, I did not think he did that. And when I saw the news the next day, and they had picked him up, he was in that jumpsuit, and they told me they said it was him. I was angry. I said, I know this boy did not come up in my house and do what I just saw the day before. I know he didn't do that. So I was angry. So I had a lot to be angry about. You know, you took my baby, you know. Then I was not only good to you, my son was, and you came up, and this is my appreciation.
Did they ever find out what was the motivation? What was the reason? What was their reasoning of doing this? What was in his mind that would make him do such a heinous act?
Well, you know, I had told my son years ago that boy was jealous of him. You know, and my son, you know, my son was a good-looking young man. He had a lot of friends, girls and boys. My doorbell rang 24/7. You know, and he was one of the ones that was coming there every single day. You know, and then my son, like I said, got into trouble. Was doing stuff he ain't had no business doing. You know, getting money. You know, stuff like that. So the detectives told me the motive was robbery. I knew what the motive was. When I saw, you know, when they said it was about the video game, I knew it wasn't about the video game. I knew what the motive was. You know, they were trying to rob him. But them was your boys. Are you serious? You know, that was and my son was, if you needed money, he'd have gave it to you. So how you gonna rob him?
So it was basically the senseless, we're gonna rob him.
Yeah.
And that's what the whole thing is about.
Yeah.
That's very sad. You know, that's very sad. Instead of you can talk it out, work it out, instead we'll just rob him and kill him.
Yeah.
At 18, and no conscience whatsoever in the thing. That's something else. It's truly something else. Very.
Yeah, it really is. It's sad.
Very sad.
This is Christmas because he has one of his little Batman vests. So you, right here.
Yeah, I got you.
And that's, you know what, that's a holiday too.
That's a holiday too?
Here he is right here with his little fat self.
Oh yeah?
And these are my nieces. And Christmas, you know, he's on his little rocking horse or whatever it is.
And these like more of his older pictures when he's older right now, right?
Yeah, this is the most recent picture. When we lived in North Braddock, there was an alleyway that's across the house. That's what that picture is. Now this picture right here is we were at my holiday or something. We were at my sister's house. You know, he was always gangster. And I want to be a thug. Now this picture right here is my sister's wedding. This is Johnny right here. and he was at my sister's wedding. Yeah. And this picture, I think this picture right here, we were at, he was in placement. It was called Our House, I think. Mm-hmm. And I went to go see him, and Teron actually took this picture of me and him. And one birthday, my sister had, I guess she took the flowers from his funeral, and these are his actual flowers, and she put them on there and put them in a frame for me.